Okay, ladies and gentlemen, friends, I'm happy to be with you this evening. I thank you for joining me on this Facebook Live presentation. The title of this discussion, I'm going to turn my stopwatch over. The title of this discussion is Why Kannaway, with a subtitle, What Makes This Opportunity Unique and Singular? Why not? Why now? Because not all moments of opportunity are equal. Now is a special moment, and why you? And I'll try to be efficient in my use of words and time to help you understand why Kannaway, why now, and why you. And this is not meant to be a preliminary or a first introduction to our business. If someone has invited you here this evening and this is your very first look at Kannaway, I welcome you. I believe this conversation will be beneficial for you, but I encourage you to go to the Kannaway homepage or ask the individual who invited you here to send you a link and watch the basic business presentation. It's about 20 minutes long. That will help you understand our basic premise, the opportunity which was given birth by the fact that in 1937, with the passing of the Marijuana Tax Act, industrial hemp and marijuana were lumped together into one pot. And gradually now what we're seeing is a steady methodical unwinding. In fact, what we're experiencing and participating in is the end of the prohibition of the cannabis family, and specifically of the non-psychoactive cannabinoids that can be successfully extracted from the stalks of hemp plants. And so why Kannaway? What makes this so special? What I would like to do, and sometimes I find myself a little frustrated. I don't ever want to be, but I find myself a little frustrated that people want to compare this company to anything else in the direct selling industry. And of course, I'm an advocate for all of direct selling. I've been around the industry for a long time and I've had a lot of success in it. But there has never been, ever, something that is remotely similar to what Kannaway is. And efforts made to compare are always insufficient in helping one understand the magnitude of this possibility. And I'll describe to you just a few of the things that have occurred in the last, what feels to me like, the handful of months. I remember back in May, when I was meeting with Dr. Stuart Titus, who is the CEO of our parent organization, MJNA, Medical Marijuana Inc., he told me of the thrill, the joy that he had that the Salk Institute here in San Diego, Dr. David Schubert, had just published a report that said that these cannabinoids had a unique ability to stop the accumulation of beta amyloid plaques. And I listened to him. That meant exactly nothing to me. And I said, would you please help me understand more what that means? And he said, well, that same study showed that this product, these cannabinoids, had a unique ability to perhaps even deal with something called tau proteins. Those things meant nothing to me. I said, Dr. Titus, what does that mean? He says that one of the greatest current challenges facing our country and countries around the world, that being the onset of dementia of various kinds and Alzheimer's disease, could perhaps be effectively addressed one day with the use of therapy, including medical cannabis, including botanical cannabinoids, both psychoactive and non-psychoactive. That was back in May. And a lot of things went on as the year rolled its way forward. And then I remember, I believe it was the 29th day of November. On the 29th day of November in 2016, there was a news report published by ABC that described the fact that the University of San Francisco had just concluded and published a report which stated that cannabinoids, and CBD specifically, was the first known endogenous substance, endogenous meaning brought into the body from outside, which had been shown to have the capacity to downgrade the aggressiveness of metastatic breast cancer tumor cells. So, wow, that's unbelievable. That's like unbelievable. And notice that I'm not here stating that we, our company, can address those health conditions. I'm describing things that have taken place. What has taken place in the brief period of time since my involvement with this company has been research published by the Salk Institute, research then published by the University of San Francisco and reported by ABC News, talking about some unbelievably important possibilities being presented by these cannabinoids, these non-psychoactive cannabinoids, specifically CBD. And then let's roll it forward just a little bit more. In the first week of December, there was an unbelievable glowing report in Forbes magazine. And that report in Forbes magazine said that they believe that the market for CBD would exceed $2.1 billion in 2017. And in that report, they didn't just show the picture of a cannabis-based product. They didn't just show the picture of a CBD product. They showed pictures of our company's product. the kind of press that one could really never afford to pay for. We're a young company, a fledgling company. There's not an unlimited budget for the financing of such things. Absolutely free, no cost whatsoever involved. And then we move it forward a little bit more and go to the third week of December. In the third week of December, the DEA reaffirmed that in their opinion, then their method of reinforcement would be to continue to consider CBD a Schedule I drug. And I had several people contact me and say, oh my gosh, the earth is falling. And I said, no, with a moment of celebration, because it once again proved our company's premise. Our company's premise is that we are the one, the unique, legitimate provider of a federally legal source of CBD and other non-psychoactive cannabinoids. Why? Because the Ninth Circuit Court has ruled that CBD can be legally imported to the United States if it is extracted from the stalks, not the bud or the root, from the stalks of mature plants which are grown in Europe. That then shows the brilliance of this company, the willingness to invest, the foresight, the brilliance again of this company, because while others were trying to skirt around the rules, while others were trying to operate in defiance of the rules and extract CBD from marijuana plants in the United States, extract CBD from hemp plants grown illegal in the United States, cross state borders where the product was not federally legal, this company, completely contrary to that, was instead investing in ways to put, as Warren Buffett describes it, a moat around the castle, making our company a singular, unique possibility to be the provider of cannabinoids. You know, what else happened that was for me so remarkable is as the year unfolded, and Samantha and I became participants in the company's brand ambassadors on June 28th, as the year unfolded, one thing became over and over and over, there was a recurring theme. And the recurring theme was, I found people when they learned of our product offerings, first of all, being surprised at their availability. Second, being surprised at our company's immediate ability to ship and to fulfill. And third, being surprised at the relative low cost. Now, understand this, CBD is an expensive compound. It is not inexpensive. However, when we compare the CBD products delivered by our company to any other company's CBD product, we become very, very inexpensive. The price per milligram of CBD made possible by this company is simply the best price. So completely unique to my experience, having been around direct selling for so many years. In the direct selling industry, it is almost universal that the product is quite similar to something that can be found elsewhere. We are not that way. You cannot buy our product elsewhere. Typically in the direct selling industry, the product is quite similar to that which can be acquired elsewhere, and always the direct selling product costs more money, and then the distributor, brand ambassador, brand promoter, whatever they call them, that person is put in the difficult environment of trying to explain away the cost, trying to create some uniqueness to it, trying to make the price worth it, and the result is that literally always it winds up being an opportunity-driven situation, which is either well supported or poorly supported by a product. This is a completely singular, unique experience. Why? Because it is the product that speaks most loudly. And I again go back and I contemplate and I consider this short period of time of our involvement in the company, and I contemplate that the Salk Institute is talking about cannabinoids and making unbelievable statements about them. I think about the fact that the University of San Francisco is doing the same and reported nationally by ABC News. I then think of the fact that the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, actually then creates a market for what we do by enforcing laws, and that then brings to light the brilliance of our company in creating a federally legal cannabinoid option. I then think of what transpired only a handful of days ago. It was only last Friday that the government of Brazil announced that not just CBD, but that this company, Medical Marijuana's Real Scientific Hemp Oil, by the way, Real Scientific Hemp Oil is the ingredient in our Kannaway Premium Gold. The Brazilian government approved RSHO, Real Scientific Hemp Oil, our company's product for the treatment of Alzheimer's disease. Now I compare that to anything else in our industry. And that, by the way, in Brazil, that was in addition to the already approved uses for treatments of various forms of cancer, PTSD, epilepsy, autism, multiple sclerosis, and so on. You see, our company simply cannot be compared to any other direct selling company. You simply cannot put us in that same combination. We are singular, we are unique, we are one of one, we are not one of two. We stand alone. It's one of the reasons why Kannaway. Another reason why Kannaway is the near unique ability, when I say near unique, I know there's a lot of great management in various kinds of companies, not just direct selling companies. Great management must exist for companies to thrive and flourish. But I am so extremely impressed with the way that this particular management group responds to opportunity. I'm impressed with the way that they respond to adversity. I'm impressed with the way that they respond to every single distributor or brand ambassador need as it comes about. And I am so very impressed with their willingness and eagerness to bring to our operating unit the best of the best for the best price. And here again, a little bit unique. Our company is Kannaway. We are owned by Medical Marijuana Inc. Medical Marijuana Inc. sells products through other divisions as well. They sell through a company called Hemp-Meds, for example. And I find it completely fascinating. Here I have our product. This is what we call premium hemp oil gold. This is the exact product, RSHO, that I described that was just introduced or just approved in Brazil for the treatment of one of the most devastating conditions that is currently plaguing all of society. This product is also offered by Hemp-Meds. But what we pay for a container that has 15 grams is less than one would acquire 10 grams for on the Hemp-Meds site. This is completely unique. I have never seen it before. We offer the best product in the world, in some cases completely unique. We offer products that effectively address the needs of people who have almost no hope in any other condition. We offer products which help people like me who are blessed with and are benefited by good health retain that health. We offer the best product, and not just the best product, but we offer it for the best price. So, why Kannaway? We are arriving at a point in time where the continual march towards the complete legalization of cannabis in all fashions is becoming a visible, a seeable eventuality. During the time of the transition, as this end of prohibition runs its course, what we have is a completely unique position in the marketplace to offer this group of extraordinary non-psychoactive cannabinoids in a variety of iterations, from the CBD-based skincare line that is called Define, from the extraordinarily effective topical pain-relieving salve, to the various iterations of hemp oil that we ingest over the course of the day. We offer a group of products that meet the needs of people. We sell them for less money. We sell products they can't get anyplace else. That is different. That's why Kannaway. Now the question of why now, we could consider why now, and by the way, I could have spent that same time discussing the compensation plan. Tonight I'm not going to. I will simply tell you this. If you choose to build a direct selling organization in any company, wherever it is, if you choose to build a direct selling organization and you're successful in so doing, if you were to take that exact size organization and lay it over the Kannaway compensation plan, you'd make more money in Kannaway. Period. Period. So I'll state that another way. If you build a successful organization in Kannaway, this compensation plan will pay you more for the volume you produce than were you to build that same size organization anywhere else in the industry, period. And that is a very definitive statement. It's a statement born of knowledge. That's not opinion. That's a statement of fact. Why Kannaway? There are a variety of reasons, and I could go on. Now, the next question that was posed is why now? Why now? And I've described a little bit of this ongoing ceaseless flow of information. And as we continue to see the unwinding of the prohibition, which started back in 1936, and that's an unwinding, it's an unraveling that is going on, it's visible, we can see it, it's happening, it's a process that is not going to stop. The question is how rapidly will it escalate? We don't know that, but we are literally seeing the conclusion of this period of prohibition, certainly of the hemp plant. That will take place much more quickly, the end of that prohibition. In all likelihood, it'll take place much more quickly than the end of prohibition of the marijuana plant. Who knows what the timelines will be on each. But as we see that unwinding, unfolding, and the resulting opportunity that comes from it, then we must look to timing as it is typically contemplated and considered in a direct selling business venture. So many years ago, when I was first introduced to the industry, a person drew a graph for me. And it's a graph that I haven't liked, and sometimes I've made fun of that graph, but it looked like this. And what I was taught is that all companies start on this bottom left-hand corner of the graph. I was told, accurately enough, that the vast majority of these companies never get off the bottom, they never get off the ground floor. They start on the ground floor and they stay on the ground floor. That's the truth. Most start and close very quickly. I have a dear friend who with the greatest hope and expectations and anticipations and quite a bit of investment capital launched a direct selling company not so long ago, only about 10 months ago. A lot of capital invested, a well-known person, a well-respected person. I talked to him 4 days ago and he told me, you know what, we're pulling the plug. We've not been able to get traction. We couldn't get anybody's attention. Well, he was one of many who launched in 2016, and there were many that launched in 2015, and many will launch in 2017. The fact is, all companies start on the bottom left-hand corner of the graph, and most of them stay there. Then there is the next kind of company, the one which just inches along, inches along, inches along. It manages to limp along and stay in business, but its product or service or opportunity never stops being obscure and becomes popularized. Never does it enter into a kind of growth that produces large and rapidly growing checks. Never does it get exciting. And there are many, many, many of these. My gosh, there's a whole lot of those companies. And then every once in a while, not very, very difficult to predict, candidly, and not so frequently, but every once in a while, one of these companies that starts on the bottom left-hand corner of the graph passes a series of tests. And the series of tests include being able to properly execute, being able to properly forecast demand, being able to properly manage a balance sheet, being able to launch a business with the almost always limited capital, with almost always unlimited demands for that capital, an ability to create a product offering that grabs people's attention and provokes emotional response and causes things to get exciting. There are so many things that have to happen, so many hurdles to jump over, so many things that can go wrong, and many things which must go right. But every once in a while, not so very often, every once in a while, one of these companies launches, does not stay mired in mediocrity. Its sales grow and grow, and it stops being obscure and starts to become popularized. Now, here is the exact reality of what makes this happen. I think back to the time when Samantha and I became brand ambassadors. That was in June, after having been involved in a kind of an advisory role and an observer from December of 2015 through June of 16, and we watched the company kind of bouncing along the bottom, having some unbelievable products, finally being able to attract a couple of really key critical leaders who made an imprint on the company. I mean, thank heavens, Jeff Lassard, that joined the company. Thank heavens, Valerie, that you joined the company. The company finally was able to attract a few critical leaders, and the sales began to escalate, albeit slowly. By March of last year, sales were only bouncing around between $50 and $75, sometimes about to $100,000 per month. Think about that for a second. That is nothing. That really and truly, and no kidding, is nothing. But then something began to change. Something started to change. The product delivery got just enough that there are people talking. And as the company's sales gradually escalated, the proliferation of information like I've described was like it was pouring fuel on the fire. Had a few really quality, talented people who were steadily and consistently engaged in a proven and predictable pattern of activities. Day after day, week after week, here came the almost never-ending flow of information about the incredible importance and the efficacy of these non-psychoactive cannabinoids, CBD specifically. The information kept coming, and that fueled the recruiting mechanism and caused the company to separate itself from one of these that languishes and just doesn't really ignite. The ignition has in fact begun. Company sales that were only in the $50,000 to $75,000 a month range back in March had exploded to over $500,000 by January. Now let's think about that for a second. A properly constructed direct selling compensation plan will pay to its recruiting distributors somewhere between 35 and 45% of the revenue that comes into the company. Now, don't be confused. Some of you who've been around the industry will say, oh no, I know this company or that company that pays out 60% or 65%. No, they're paying that out as a percentage of BV, business volume, or as a percentage of commissionable volume. The truth is that properly constructed direct selling companies will pay somewhere between 35 and 45% of revenue. They need the other percent of that revenue to successfully run a business. We need them to have that revenue. We want them to have capital to invest. And so think about that for a second. If the company's doing less than $100,000 in monthly sales, that means that maybe $35,000 or $40,000 is being spread among the entire distributor force, however large it is. What does that mean? It means nobody's making any money. Go back to March of 2016. You had a small group of people consuming the products and having great health benefit, almost always acquiring the product for their own personal consumption purposes only. There then comes this catalyst, the catalyst being the really launching of organizations by a couple of respected leaders in our business, that being Jeff and Valerie. As a result of that combination of Jeff and Valerie joining the business, planting their flag, beginning to work with some energy and with some aggression, that coupled with a steady, continuing, day after day flow of information that CBD is good, this pending ending, this soon coming to a conclusion of the prohibition of the hemp plant. These things come together, and suddenly we're able to attract some other really, really talented and wonderful people. And I can't talk about them all, but I'm sure that Blake and Brad, I'm sure that they look at each other and they smile and they say, wow, we are so grateful that Mary joined us. We are so very grateful that Dana joined us. And I could just click the names off one by one by one. The combination of incomes beginning to inch up, product successes becoming more certain, the continuing ongoing proliferation of information about the nature of products that we sell, those conspired to add up to our company doing a little over $500,000 in volume last month. And so what does that mean? The company did over $500,000 in sales, and that means that distributors were paid last month around $225,000. Now that's still not a great big number, is it? That's not a great big number, but compare that number to what the reality and the fact was back in June. It's changed incredibly. It has changed dramatically. And now you see, as a result of having more people who are making more money. This is the combination of things that cause a direct selling company to stop being small and start being big. When there are profound, pronounced, measurable, undeniable product successes. When those are not just a periodic one-off, but when those are steady and consistent. And by the way, I can now not talk just about direct selling any company. If you have a product that is making a profound difference in people's lives, that has a degree of uniqueness, therefore there's a moat around the castle, it can't be acquired someplace else. Well, in our company's case, the product was already in place before the distributor network was in place to get into people's hands. The distributor network has gradually begun to grow. As a result of the brand ambassador or distributor network growing, more people are gaining access to that remarkable product offering. And our product success stories are compounding and compounding and compounding. That product success story has turned the wheel of the recruiting machinery in such a way that today our distributor application flow on a daily and weekly and monthly basis is many, 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 many times what it was only 7 or 8 or 9 months ago. This month of February, our company's sales are tracking more than 50% ahead of last month. And so while last month was an all-time record with sales at around $500,000, this month we are going to approach $800,000 in sales. What does that mean? It means that brand ambassadors are going to be sharing incomes of around $400,000. Compare that to the fact that a year ago, the total income received by brand ambassadors was around $25,000 or $30,000 in a month. Obviously then more people making more money combined with more people having profound product experiences, those two feed off of one another and the acceleration continues. Here is the moment of magic. And so where is our company today? Our company is no longer on the ground floor down here, not on the very bottom left-hand corner of the graph. Our company is no longer at risk of being one of those that survives but does not thrive. Our company is in this quadrant here, nowhere near that place where the product, service, or opportunity stops being obscure and starts to become popularized. The window of opportunity that exists between today and that moment, which historically in our industry has required about $5 million in monthly sales. When there's $5 million in monthly sales, and so you see we're only 10% of the way there. Last month we did $500,000. I would like for you to share with me a very, very high and lively sense of urgency. I even invite you to share with me just a little bit of a fear of loss. I've discovered that I myself have worked to have the discipline to work in anticipation of gain. It is easy for me to act out of fear of loss. Anticipation of gain is harder to act upon than is fear of loss. And so it's okay with me if you even join me in having a little bit of a healthy fear of loss, because the process has begun. And I'm very, very certain that which has started will only accelerate. So far we've not seen even one brief pause from last March until now, there has not been a brief pause. There has only been steady, consistent, and every single month a trend line that is growing more steeply positive. And so where are we now? Well, the company has made it off that very bottom left-hand corner of the graph. It wasn't stillborn. It didn't die. The company didn't give up when sales didn't explode in the first month. It has separated itself from the companies that just survive but don't thrive. They languish, they don't get fun, they don't get cool, it doesn't attract people. The company now finds itself in an environment where this month we will likely do somewhere over $700,000 in sales. Maybe it'll be $800,000. Certainly next month or the month after will be our first month of $1 million. Write it down and say you heard it here first. The progress from $1 million to $5 million is much, much, much easier than from 0 to $1 million. Every one of these days are precious. They are critical. You cannot call them back. And by the way, the story that I was told all those years ago was that all companies start on the bottom left-hand corner of the graph. The vast majority of them finish there. They don't get off that bottom left-hand corner. Then every once in a while, a company's product or service or opportunity would stop being obscure, would start to become popularized, and there would then follow a period of more dramatic growth. And during that period of growth, income is earned for those who participate in that quadrant. Wealth is created by those who made possible that window. Now that is the simplest tutorial that I could possibly give you. The question might come up, well, what happens next? That is yet another discussion. I've spent my life studying, evaluating, and learning about this industry. It is absolutely possible to have multiple S-curves. When we question why now, I would simply, once again, as I have on multiple other conversations, ask you this: would it be a good idea to buy IBM stock today? My own opinion is yes, I think it would. But would it be the same idea as it would have been 75 years ago? No, a totally different idea. Would it be a good idea to buy Apple stock today? I think probably it would. Would it be the same idea as 15 years ago? Not at all the same. Would it be a good idea to invest today in Genentech? Probably be a good idea. Would it be the same idea as it would have been 30 years ago? Not the same idea at all. And so here we have a moment in time where, at least from my perspective, knowing ownership and knowing management, the risk is gone. The risk was there the very first day that the company may not get off the ground floor. That's always possible. It's always possible that the company not make it. That's always possible with any venture, no matter how great the idea and how great the people. The risk is now gone that the company be one of these who just survive but don't thrive. This company has now entered this next quadrant of growth. It's undeniable, it's clear, it's easy, it's obvious, it cannot be refuted. And yet, while it has entered this second quadrant, it remains well inside this first foundation building phase. This is a chance to generate not just income, but to create wealth. Why Kannaway? Boy, I could talk a lot more about it, but I've said all I'm going to for tonight. Why now? I'm hoping that at least some parts of that made sense. Typically, when I talk about timing, I talk more about the timing that each of us have as individuals, as we need to develop a certain set of skills and character attributes. Tonight, I chose to focus instead specifically on the magic, the timing of this moment in this unbelievable company, which is so well positioned as we see the ongoing methodical unwinding of the prohibition of hemp. That is our timing message, and I find it unbelievably exciting, I find it thrilling, and I find it rewarding. Why now? I'd like to talk about just a couple of other thoughts. I'm so excited for what Samantha's doing. And I've invested my career in direct selling. This is a new thing for Samantha, and she's taken it upon herself to do all the kinds of things that I do and to do some other things. And only a couple of weeks ago, she was successful in establishing an account at one of the premier private golf clubs in San Diego County. And so now if you walk into that golf club, what you see there is a fishbowl on the pro shop countertop right as people are walking out to the first tee. And in that fishbowl is a whole bunch of travel salve, a whole bunch of the travel size of the defined salve. Is that not a wonderful thing? There's not another company in direct selling, I promise, where you can do that. How was it made possible? It was made possible because when she went to visit with the buyer said, "You're kidding me. I've been studying CBD." And so now the entire Defined Skincare product line is displayed in the pro shop. The Defined Skincare line is in the women's locker room. That couldn't happen anyplace else, folks. There are lots of good direct selling companies in this industry, in the world. You know what? You will never walk into one of the finest golf clubs in the world and find a product there being offered that is sold by Herbalife, by Amway, by Shackley, by Melaleuca, by any of the rest. None of them. But this one. Why? Because the buyer was already talking about CBD. I think also about why now. I find fascination because here, as it works out as a little check, And it's a check that a friend of Samantha's wrote to her today because she came over and bought products. We are a direct selling company. I've been in the direct selling industry for years and years and years, and yet, do you know the number of times that anyone has ever written to me a check to buy products that I bought at wholesale and sold to her at retail? How many times, you suppose? Oh, you're right. Until Kannaway, the total would be 0. So here Samantha has a check for $225 for products that she sold today. One person who chooses to bring her a check and pick products up instead of ordering online. Yesterday, I sold 2 jars of salve to a friend that I bumped into at the golf course. It is for us an ongoing daily experience. We buy from the company, we keep on hand, and we sell to others, not for the purpose of this $225 or $300 or $500 checks as they come in, but for the knowledge that when he or she uses that item, it will provoke in them the same kind of emotional response it provokes in others. They'll become long-term, ongoing users, and they will then refer us to their friends. That's the way that it works in this company, but it's not the way it's ever worked for me before, not ever. And once again, reflecting on what Samantha has done, I'm extremely happy. I'm proud. The fact is that she became a brand ambassador back in August 15th and has now personally enrolled, I think I saw the number today, was 56 brand ambassadors and 45 customers. Her income for the month just ended was $6,800. That was reflective of her 5th month in the business, and she earned $6,800. It's really, really important to point out that Samantha also worked really hard for the year before she got involved with Kannaway, worked really hard at another direct selling company. I was her husband then too, by the way, because sometimes people say, oh, she's Randy's wife. I was her husband then too. I was helping her just the same, and she was earning nothing. And so here we are, and Samantha's first. It's now been 24 weeks in the company, 24 weeks as a brand ambassador. She's now earned $29,000. That's not just good, that's fantastic. Now I know that for some of you who have great big visions, you're thinking, well, that's not so much money. Remember what I just taught you. If we have a company that is doing $500,000 in sales, then we can't have a lot of people making a lot of money yet. That defies logic. The key is to be here, but not just to be here, but to be one of the reasons that we go here. And it is during this transition when sales escalate so dramatically that those incomes skyrocket and they go from whatever they are to multiples thereof for those who have properly built and structured an organization. And this, by the way, once again, this timing message, that's not just reflective of direct selling, it's the way that it works. That's the way that it works. That's the way that the business works. Okay, the next thing that I find really, really compelling and intriguing is our ability to attract not just something like a fine golf club, but I think of healthcare providers. On November 13th, I contacted a friend who is a medical practitioner. And the candid truth is that she didn't answer my text. But over the course of from November 13th until now, which is slightly more than 3 months, over that period of time, I was able to simply send to her the flow of information. I sent to her a presentation made by Stuart Titus. I sent to her a TV video clip of a child in Ramona whose seizure stopped when she used not just CBD, but our company's CBD. I was able to send to her a video clip of Dr. Garza in Mexico City. I left that out when I was talking about the extraordinary list of things that have happened. Of Dr. Garza standing in front of a group of physicians talking not just about CBD, but talking about our company. Once again, a combination of things that I could not have done had I been involved with any other company, period. It could only be here. This is not like anything else. There is one place where that could have happened. But, and I mentioned this for those of you who may have a contact that you reached out to a month ago and he or she hasn't acted and you thought, oh, all is lost. No. November 13th was the first time that I contacted this specific healthcare provider, and she enrolled yesterday. What triggered it? What made it happen? What finally made it happen was after sending over the ongoing flow of information. All I did was send to her what was current that week or that month as it came across the news wires, and ultimately she agreed to allow me to send her a gift card so that she could try the salve. And I wish that you all could have been on the telephone a couple of days ago, because when she asked if she could speak with me live, she said, Randy, I received the salve and I put that salve on 6 patients, and 6 patients want to know how they can buy it. So how do I become a brand ambassador? And then we talked about the various possibilities for her. And she'll be with us, with you, I guess, because of the impending birth of our child. Samantha is still pregnant. Sometime really soon, I'm going to tell you she's no longer pregnant. I'm going to introduce you to young Bosco. This particular physician will be in attendance at the red carpet event. We'll get a chance to meet with Dr. Titus, as will others. That, again, is something completely unique. It is distinct. That could not have happened in any other company in this industry. And then I think of my friend named Alan. Alan actually is a law professor. He's a retired litigator, and he is a law professor. And when Alan contacted me, now by the way, why did Alan contact me? Alan contacted me because I am very visible in my use of these products. I don't hide my light. I don't chase people. I don't pursue them, but I'm very visible in my product use. And because I'm visible in my product use, rubbing the salve on my fingers, taking the premium hemp oil with me wherever I go. I mean, I've got the stuff. It's in my gym bag. Wherever I am, there it is. And so it provokes conversation, and I have the items with me. And this particular individual told me that he'd been using benzodiazepines to sleep for more than 20 years, and he needed help. He needed help. And so, and that, by the way, what provoked the conversation first was he became aware of the salve. I used it. I loaned it to a friend. The friend told him about it, so it was a third-party referral. Wanted the salve to deal with some arthritic pain. And then he said, so I've learned a little bit about this CBD. Tell me, might it help me stop using Halcyon so that instead of using these benzodiazepines, I can get a good night's sleep and not be drugged? And there's some way that I can get off these drugs. And so now, folks, and this is, once again, a bit of truth. For a person who's trying to eliminate Halcyon as a sleep aid, something Revive PM may do it for some people, but the truth is, if one is trying to eliminate a prescription medication they've used for years and years and years, I'm not surprised that it's taken a little bit more. What it's taken is premium hemp oil gold used in conjunction with Revive PM as he gradually scales off that prescription medication. But you know what? This, once again, is something that could only happen in this company. It couldn't happen anyplace else. It could only happen here. And I want to help you understand specifically and exactly why. I'm not a physician. I am not a doctor. I can't make a claim about what it will do. He had already done his independent research. What can I do to eliminate these benzodiazepine medications? What is there? Oh, CBD might help me. Well, who do I know that happens to sell CBD? Oh, my friend Randy sells CBD. So, see, folks, these circumstances that I'm describing would not happen anyplace else. There is not another company in this industry where it could happen. Those would only happen here. Once again, singular, unique, distinct, not like anything else. And the next question is why you? You know, today I had an interesting conversation. The golf club where I play golf is closed on Mondays, but on Mondays, my part of my fitness routine among my daily disciplines is that on Mondays I like to walk around the golf course. It's quite hilly, and it's actually a little bit of exercise, and so I walk it on Mondays, and I take my dog, and when Samantha's able, she comes with me. Now that's kind of on hold. We take the dog and we walk, and today I took a friend with me, and we were talking about the various things that I have done over the course of my life to create success, and he then asked me, he said, well, Randy, why? Why have you been willing to do the things that you've done? Why, instead of accepting life the way that most people accept it, why were you willing to do more? And I reflected on what some of the outcomes were. And as I reflect on those outcomes, then I let you answer the question of why you. Now, I can't here reflect upon successes in Kannaway that made these things possible because, of course, we've only been involved with Kannaway for a short period of time. And we are thrilled, not just thrilled, we are incredibly grateful to have found our way here. Our business is growing. It is growing rapidly. The month just ended. When we take my check combined with Samantha's check, it was a remarkable breakthrough success, something that we've not experienced for a couple of years. Absolutely fantastic. But I think back on what this industry has made possible for me. The industry, before I found my way to this incredible iteration of it. And so I think back and I reflect upon the time when my two sons were in high school. And when they were high school age, I was able to take them 2 years in a row on heli snowboarding trips in British Columbia with private helicopters. The time that we had was irreplaceable. So I am not one who thinks that money for the sake of money adds any real value. But financial resources create opportunities for us to do things that otherwise, to create memories, to have life's experiences we couldn't have any other way. I believe that we can be happy without financial resources. I believe that if we can eliminate financial pressure, and if we can then create enough financial success that we can have some life experiences that are seemingly impossible, that can add another kind of joy to our lives. And so when I say, why you? Well, if you happen to have children who will one day be high school age, what would it be worth for you to be able to take your children on heli snowboarding trips and have that kind of an experience with them that I can tell you today we still talk about? Those are memories for life that I have, that I share with my son Blake and with my son Riley. And I think of it another way. Blake and I share a love for the game of golf. And the year that he graduated from high school, I took him to Ireland and we played golf on 7 British Open golf courses. What would it be worth to you to be able to take your son or your daughter on that kind of a trip? When my boys were seniors and juniors in high school, I invited them to get a hold of their very best friends. And because I was financially able, because of the success of this industry, I went out and I bought 5 Harley Davidsons, and I took them on Harley Davidson rides that were extended, they were lengthy, they ran all the way up through the Northwest and into Canada and back. We did that each year for a couple of years. Now, whenever I say these things, I'm very, very careful. I am certainly not saying, look what I have done. Who cares? What I'm saying instead is, look what you can do. The question is, why you? Why? Why will you do this? It is because if you have desires to do things with your family that would otherwise be complete impossibilities, there are not so many mechanisms that make possible the combination of income, time, freedom, and flexibility to make that all worthwhile. And by the way, when my daughters got into that same high school age, and it was easy for me with boys to do athletic things with my daughters, what will it be? And so we got scuba diving certified, and I took them to some of the greatest dive locations in the world. Well, I think back over the course of my life, and I think of some of the absolutely incredible, remarkable experiences that I have had. And I am grateful that I was willing to make the right kind of commitment at the right times. I am grateful that moments of opportunity were presented to me, that I saw them with clarity, and I then made the required sacrifices to fully harvest the values of those moments. We're only going to know looking back, but it's my belief right now looking forward that never have I been presented with, and perhaps never have you been or will you again be presented with, a moment of opportunity so profound as this eventual unwinding of the prohibition of the hemp plant first and ultimately all of the cannabis family. So the question, why you? It has to do with what do you want out of life that your current job, career, avocation, or profession doesn't make possible. What do you want? And maybe it's not those kinds of activities that I've described. But I think also today, as we were having that same walk, I contemplated on the fact that one of the places that I visit when I want peace and solitude and quiet is a Carmelite convent. At a time in my life when I was struggling so much trying to rid myself of drugs and alcohol and get sober, one of the things that I did, I went and I spent some time at this Carmelite convent, and it was me there with 54 nuns, and truly I grew to love the nuns, and it seems like they grew to love me. At first they tolerated me, pretty soon it seemed that they loved me. But when I go there for that moment of peace and solitude, I do take joy from some of the improvements that they were able to make in the property because my financial abundance made it possible for me to help them. I take joy from the things that we can do with resources when we have adequate resources to meet our needs and then have the opportunity to share with others. And so, why you? It's what do you want? What would an elimination of financial pressure mean in your life? What would financial abundance make possible for you? The little bit of pushing against the grinding wheel of life that we each must do to make ourselves eligible to fully harvest the value of the opportunity, in my life experience, has proven to be abundantly worth it. So why you? I don't know. Only you know that. Why me? It's because I think the greatest moments can come in the future. It's because young Bosco is shortly going to be born and I want to do with him the things I've done with my other sons. It's because Samantha and I have a life that's rolling its way out, and it's going to be, it's just beginning, it's fun already, and it's going to be more fun. Why Kannaway? This is the single most extraordinary combination of factors that I believe have ever existed in our industry, not just today. This is a company that, frankly, is a stunner to me, that they have chosen to deliver their products through this method of operation and therefore give us this profound opportunity. Why Kannaway? That's a real easy choice. Nothing is a close comparison. Why now? I've described it as best I can. This company has made it. It's not a company whose survival is in question. It made it past those critical moments in the beginning. It's not a company that will just struggle and flounder along. It made it past that moment. So it's past the moment of impending failure as a tiny company. It's past the moment of risk of one that just survives and it doesn't thrive. And it's in that magic window between there and here. It is when the company goes into far more dramatic growth in the years ahead that wealth is created by those who properly laid the foundation. Why you? Only you know the answer. Only you know the answer. I contemplate with great gratitude the fact that while there are really good public schools, my children had the choice of going to the best private schools if they wanted to. And some chose to go to public schools, some chose to go to private. But throughout my life, since I became willing to do that which was required to harvest moments of profound opportunity, I've been able to provide for others things that give me joy in reflection and that I think add value to their lives as well. So if you're not yet involved in Kannaway, I would like to now, this evening, tonight, extend to you my personal invitation for you to get involved. If you are already involved in Kannaway, but you're allowing even one day of this precious moment of company development to slip by without doing all in your power to fully harvest the value of that moment, I encourage you to take a step back and take a good hard look and ask yourself that question. Why you? Why? What is it about for you? And perhaps that bit of clarity will give you a newfound willingness to take the actions required to get the key in the lock of success. All that being said, I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't know it, I know it. You can succeed in magnificent fashion. You've got all the talents required to get the key in the lock. The only thing between here and that eventual success is the willingness to work and work and work to refine those talents into skills that become beneficial to others. And the great news is this: because of the power of the groundswell of enthusiasm nationally and globally for CBD and these other non-psychoactive cannabinoids, we get paid well to learn. So that being said, I'm telling you, God bless you all. I think you're great. Blowing you a kiss. Good night.